Hello, welcome to 8 Minutes on Sound, a new series of videos on what we, at Bruel and Kjaer, hope are interesting and perhaps unusual applications of acoustic measurement. My name is Jim Weir. I have a long history in acoustic test and measurement. But in this case, it is my passion for stereo reproduction that leads us to today's topic, assessing musical dynamics using the 2245 sound meter. Stereo reproduction is the art form of producing and listening to recorded music. We used to call this hobby playing records, and the participants, like me, are often referred to as audiophiles. The tests I made for these recordings were done in my dedicated basement home theater room, where the dimensions are approximately 15 feet by 19 feet, with an acoustic ceiling with variable heights of 8 feet at the sides and 9 feet at the center. The primary loudspeakers are planar magnetic dipoles and are about 9 feet from the center listening seat, and where the Type 2245 sound level meter microphone was positioned. The 2245 sound meter is simply the best sound meter available. Introduced a couple of years ago, it provides unequal accuracy within 1/4 of a dB across a frequency span of 10 Hz to 20 kHz, and a noise floor that in 1/3 octaves drops below 0 dB. It will accurately measure sound from its noise floor to a peak level of 145 dB. Perfect for the task we have here. I used its iOS application to control the meter remotely, so my body did not affect the sound. The charts used on the following pages were produced using the included Enviro Noise application software. In the audiophile world, we realize that only part of our listening experience can be measured. The rest happens between the ears. Measurements like these, however, help us to better understand the truths and how our reproduction systems behave. The Fleetwood Mac Rumours album is recognized as the group's finest release. It was a huge commercial success, selling 10 million copies in just its first month. The chain literally kicks off side 2 with Mick Fleetwood's right foot providing the percussive lead, accompanied by Lindsey Buckingham's twangy guitar. The dynamics of this song actually draw you into the emotion, as the lyrics represent the progression of the troubles the group has been going through. I've set up the 2245 to continuously measure a host of parameters, including the unweighted peak sound pressure and the fast average root mean square level for the duration of the song. The fast RMS value somewhat correlates to how loud the sound seems to the listener. In this chart, we are showing the maximum peak and the minimum loudness for each second. I've set the average level to be close to 75 dB A-weighted, a moderate listening level. Looking at the green curve, you can see how the loudness varies. The purple curve is showing the instantaneous peak levels and come very close to 100 decibels. The Enviro Noise software lets me do a simple difference calculation of the two measured parameters, displayed here in gold. You can see that some of the most dynamic content occurs in the quiet moments, which makes sense since in the loudest moments, the producers like to use compression to limit the highest peak levels so they fit better on the distribution media, especially on vinyl and FM radio or cassette. But note that while modern digital distribution media, including CDs, downloads, and streaming, can handle wider dynamic content, in actual recording, mixing, and production mastering, limiting is regularly used to make their processes easier. Which brings us to the next song. In a recent social media blog, Sean Olive, a renowned engineer and specialist in electroacoustics working at Harman Audio, challenged listeners to test their systems and their emotional and physical reaction to the song Tricycle, produced by the jazz fusion group Flim and the BBs, Flim and the BBs, please look them up under Wiki, are renowned for their production quality and regularly utilize Bruel and Kjaer measurement microphones in their recording and live performances. They once performed for us at the Bruel and Kjaer North American Sales Meeting in 1988. Wow, I set the playback level to about the same, and when I did so, I had to increase the volume control on my system 10 dB. You can see the peak levels now easily exceeding 100 dB, peaking at 108 dB. And when I bring in the difference graph, the crest factor, the difference between the peak and the RMS, is almost always completely above 20 decibels, and at times jump to 60 decibels. Peak limiting still seems to be used though. While you see many of the difference peaks in the gold curve occur at RMS low points, there are moments where the RMS minimum level is high and the peaks 25 to 30 dB higher. So what are the consequences of maintaining a high dynamic content? As I mentioned, the average level on the recording is set lower, so you have to advance the level for a comfortable listening level. If you look at the right side graphic, I show examples of crest factor. A simple signal sine wave has a peak to RMS ratio of just 3 dB. For music, the signal is complex and has a higher crest factor. Here I show that the voltage requirement to handle a crest factor of 20 dB is 36 volts, equivalent to an amplifier rated for at least 80 watts driving an 8 ohm loudspeaker. As you have seen, 20 dB is common in many recordings. On to my system. When played at the same loudness level, Tricycle tops at a peak pressure of 108 dB. The chain tops at just under 100 dB. That 8 decibels is a little over 2.5 times the voltage just to play Tricycle at the same loudness as playing the already dynamic the chain. On my system, 80 decibels at the listening seat is about 2 volts peak to peak across the loudspeaker terminals. That means for 108 dB, I need 25 times that voltage, or 50.24 volts, across the 4 ohm load of my loudspeakers to produce this sound without clipping. That voltage would indicate an equivalent to over 630 peak watts. Any less than that and the system will clip. Sean Olive was right. Challenging indeed. I hope you've enjoyed today's session on music dynamics and this introduction to our series, 8 Minutes on Sound, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. Please check like to support this video and do not hesitate to subscribe to the HBK YouTube channel. Thanks again, and continue to enjoy listening to music.